The Ineos dilemma, a case study in tariff troubles. The US recently imposed a 25% tariff on cars imported from Europe. This decision has sent shockwaves through the global automotive industry, and companies like Ineos Automotive are feeling the heat. Ineos, a British car manufacturer, produces vehicles in France. These vehicles, when exported to the US market, are now subject to this hefty tariff. For Ineos, this presents a serious challenge to its business model and profitability. The tariff effectively increases the price of Ineos vehicles in the US market, making them less competitive against American-made cars. This situation poses a dilemma for Ineos. Absorb the cost of the tariff and accept lower profit margins, or pass the cost onto American consumers and risk losing market share. Neither option is appealing. Ineos's predicament is a stark example of how quickly international trade disputes can impact individual businesses. The company's future in the US market and the jobs associated with it hangs in the balance. The situation highlights the interconnected nature of the global economy and the far-reaching consequences of protectionist trade policies. A cry for help. Why Ineos needs politicians to step in. Lynn Calder, the head of Ineos Automotive, has not minced words in her assessment of the situation. She has called the US tariffs a matter of life or death for the company. Calder has been vocal in her criticism of both the US and the EU, blaming both for failing to reach a trade agreement that would prevent such damaging tariffs. Calder argues that the tariffs are not just bad for Ineos, but for the global economy as a whole. She believes that they will lead to job losses, higher prices for consumers, and slower economic growth. Her pleas for direct and urgent political intervention underscore the seriousness of the situation. Ineos's situation has become a political football. The company's struggle highlights the complex interplay between business and politics in a globalized world. It remains to be seen whether political leaders will heed Calder's calls for action and find a solution that works for businesses like Ineos. The shadow of protectionism, US tariffs, and the future of global sports. The US is gearing up to host two of the world's biggest sporting events, the 2026 FIFA World Cup and the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. These events are not just about sporting spectacle, they are also huge business opportunities. They attract investment, create jobs, and boost tourism. However, the current climate of protectionism, exemplified by the US tariffs, casts a shadow over these upcoming events. Traditionally, global sporting events like the World Cup and the Olympics have been seen as opportunities to foster international cooperation and understanding. They bring people together from all over the world, transcending political and economic differences. Yet, the current trade tensions, particularly between the US and its allies, threaten to undermine this spirit of unity. The tariffs could make it more expensive for companies from affected countries to do business in the US, potentially impacting their involvement in these events. This could range from sponsoring teams and athletes to supplying equipment and infrastructure. The situation raises concerns about whether the US, under the weight of its own protectionist policies, can truly embrace the global spirit of these events. A goal under threat. Hyundai's FIFA sponsorship in doubt. Hyundai, the South Korean multinational automotive manufacturer, is a major sponsor of FIFA, football's global governing body. The company's sponsorship deal includes the 2026 World Cup. However, with the US hosting the tournament and the tariffs casting a long shadow, Hyundai's commitment to its sponsorship is now in question. The US tariffs on automobiles directly impact Hyundai's bottom line in the US market. The company now faces the difficult decision of whether to absorb the increased costs, raise prices for American consumers, or reduce its presence in the market. These factors could influence Hyundai's willingness to continue its FIFA sponsorship, especially if the company decides to scale back its US operations. Hyundai's predicament illustrates how tariffs can have a ripple effect, impacting not just the targeted industries but also related sectors like sports sponsorship. The situation highlights the intricate web of global commerce and the potential consequences when protectionist policies disrupt these delicate relationships.